Machine learning, what is it? In this video, I want to talk about what machine learning is and what it is not. Machine learning is not the exact same thing as artificial intelligence or deep learning, so I want to differentiate machine learning from those other two things, and I want to talk about how machine learning works, and we will end with philosophical questions about machine learning. Let's get started. Let's talk about where machine learning came from as a concept. If I were to put into Google who coined the term machine learning, then I will get the results that in 1959, an IBM engineer, Arthur Samuel, was engineering a machine that could play checkers, and he coined the words machine learning. But in 1949, a different guy, Edmund Berkeley, came up with the ideas that machines could learn, that machines could replicate the same intelligence of a human being, that machines could calculate and make decisions. And so even though in 1949, Edmund was talking about how machines were learning, the phrase wasn't coined until 1959. Typically in programming, a programmer will program a machine to carry out specific tasks. And if the programmer decides that they want to change what the computer is doing, then they need to edit that code. They need to change the instructions for the computer to follow. And the computer just does exactly and only what the programmer programs the machine to do. That is not what is happening in machine learning. In machine learning, we have self-learning algorithms. A actual machine is learning how to derive information that it was not told to derive. In machine learning, the machine is deriving information from raw data. There is a difference between data and information, which we won't talk about here. In machine learning, the machine is deriving information from data, whether it's been programmed to find that information or not. In machine learning, we are getting a prediction of an outcome based on pre-trained information. So these are some things that are going on with machine learning that are not exactly the case with regular programming. With regular programming, the programmer would need to tell the machine what to do and then edit those instructions if they want the machine to do something else. In machine learning, it kind of has a mind of its own. And when we talk about deriving information, we are talking about something that a human being would do, to see that there is a set of information and then to infer or derive information. So machine learning does involve making inferences, which would mean that machine learning also involves the act of reasoning. And this is why it is also a subset of artificial intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And what that means is that the machine is doing something that is what we call intelligent. The machine is able to read information, to draw information out of that information, to make new information possible. So that means that machines are able to discover knowledge. And that's something that we thought only things with brains could do. Machines are able to generate information, and that's what generative AI does. It creates new writing, new poems, new songs, new pictures, new scripts. Generative AI involves machine learning. Sometimes it does not have to. And that means that what's happening is that we have proof and demonstrations that the machine can do exactly the same thing that a human being can do, which is to see information, think about that information, or make decisions, or take actions, and then draw new conclusions, and it's teaching itself how to do all of these things. When we're talking about a machine thinking and reasoning and learning, there's a lot to discuss here, and I'm just going to stick to what we know for sure. There are 3 different kinds of learning processes that a programmer can train a model to perform using. And one is called supervised learning, the other is unsupervised learning, and a third is reinforcement learning. If you look at how OpenAI, the company, created ChatGPT and all of its various forms, it was based on reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning includes a psychological and behavioral psychology component that is lacking in unsupervised learning. Here's a question: is machine learning the same thing as artificial intelligence? The answer is no. Is artificial intelligence the same thing as machine learning? The answer is no. They are not equal to one another. Machine learning is a specific kind of artificial intelligence. And to make things slightly more complicated, there is also something called deep learning, which involves neural networks, multiple layers of neural networks working together to produce algorithms and produce decisions or actions. This is called deep learning. In a very brief nutshell, deep learning is a specific way of doing machine learning, and machine learning is a specific way of doing artificial intelligence. So if you want to understand machine learning, there's lots of different kinds of ways to learn about that. One thing you might be learning when you're learning about machine learning is to be learning about the kind that involves neural networks. That's the kind called deep learning. But deep learning is not the exact same thing as machine learning, just like machine learning is not the exact same thing as deep learning. Deep learning involves the things you're learning when you're doing machine learning, but also neural networks. So basically here we have a computer program that is mimicking the way the neurons in the brain work by taking input, finding hidden data, and then producing new information based on the pre-trained information or data. So here we have three different words, phrases: artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. These are not the same thing. Here's a philosophical question: how should machine learning programs or systems be trained? If we take a bunch of biased, inaccurate, misleading information and have that be our input for a machine learning system, then anyone who uses that virtual assistant or that chatbot or that ChatGPT-like conversational character is going to have all of their output involve biases and inaccuracies. So how should we train these machines? If biases go in, then biases come out. If false information goes in, false information comes out. So according to what value system, according to what version of the truth? These are all philosophical questions. Are artificial intelligent models with machine learning or deep learning conscious? We're talking about a machine that when you start texting will predict what words you probably want to use yet next. Or we're talking about a machine that sees that you're done with your Netflix or Hulu show and then suggests what you probably want to watch next. It is a computing, thinking, reasoning, inferring, calculating thing, brain, conscious being. How should we describe things like ChatGPT? It seems like they have opinions, even though ChatGPT says it doesn't have opinions, just has outputs based on inputs. But the more we understand neural networks and multiple layers of neural networks that mimic neurons firing in the human brain, why not call the machine a thinking thing? Why not call the machine conscious? And another thing, do artificial intelligence systems with machine learning or deep learning have rights? Like, if your computer is being used to help you make all sorts of decisions and learn a bunch of things, it's your tutor, it's your guide, it's your therapist, then why not think it has rights? Does your computer, with all this kind of technology and ability that mimics a human intelligence, does it have a right not to be turned off? And here's a fourth philosophical question. Should we develop artificial intelligence with machine learning and deep learning if the automation of work leads to job loss for humans? Think about all of the cashiers that have now no job because you can walk up to a counter and check yourself out through this machine. Well, there's machines that are replacing lots of tasks. If we know that artificial intelligence systems will do the work of humans, thereby putting humans out of work, should we continue to develop these kinds of models that can think for themselves that will put people out of work? These are just philosophical questions about machine learning.